Dan Kolko here with Orioles manager Buck Showalter for his MASNsports.com video blog. And Buck, you've got Derek Lee and Cesar Azturz kind of battling some injuries right now, and you might have to shake up the roster a little bit. I kind of wanted to talk to you about, on a broader scale, how a roster move goes down at the major league level and how you kind of talk back and forth with Andy MacPhail and how that process goes down, whether he's asking for your advice on players or how you would kind of like the roster to shape up when you're bringing in a new guy to the roster and sending someone to the DL.
Well, that's really a process that starts way back in the off season when we call them the what ifs. You know, if this happens, where are we going? What are we going to do? You're constantly on top of, Andy's on top of the things going on in Norfolk and Bowie and where our roster is and what the fits would be. And it's a moving target. You know, the communication lines are always there, and I can always assume that Andy's got it wired and the people upstairs in our farm system, and it's been that process is pretty easy for us. And Andy is great about asking everybody's opinion and gathering information. In the day, we always come up with something that everybody's had input on, and we move forward, and you don't look back. But if you have to be scrambling when something happens and you don't already have it wired, then you probably haven't done your homework. So we look at the what ifs from the start of the off season when you're acquiring players and doing things to the point of today, for instance. And it changes sometimes. You get a rain out, you get an extra day. A guy pitches, you have to be ahead of it down in Norfolk if you got a pitcher that you're going to bring up and make sure they don't pitch that night. And the communication is pretty constant.
You talk about that communication. Given that the final job is on him to kind of assemble the roster, and the final job is on you to handle things on the field, how important is that communication and you guys kind of talking back and forth about how things could play out from your perspective?
Well, I'm sure Andy and I, he may think we talk to a fault. Andy and I are constantly talking about things, and he brings up some things that I haven't thought about too. So it's been a great process for me personally, but I don't think there's a way that you want to do it any differently. I think dealing with the players and I think it helps them understand some of the moves that we have to make, and sometimes they change from minute to minute depending on the situation. Like we got potential of rain tonight. We had it last night. We didn't announce any DLs until we knew or not if we were going to play the game and buy an extra day.
How often are you meeting with him, regardless of whether a roster move might be on the horizon or not? Is it the type of thing where a manager meets with a general manager every day, every other day, or really only when you kind of notice that something might be needed to be done in terms of a roster shakeup?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't have to call upstairs and let Andy know that we need to do something. He's way ahead of that, and he sees it coming, and we're obviously on the same page. So there are days where we may not have a long conversation, but Andy, we always kind of check in and see how everything's going. There's something that I'm missing or he's missing, and but we do now and then take a day off from each other.
That's always needed. What's that relationship like between you and Andy? You've worked in a number of different major league organizations. You've had experiences with a number of front office people. What's your relationship like with Andy MacPhail?
Oh, I'm lucky, and I've been lucky through my whole career. Andy's a very ethical, moral guy to start with, and always wants to do the right thing. And there's a strong competitive juice there. And I got to sit with him last year in Tampa when I was suspended. Up in the booth, and if you don't think Andy's in every pitch, he's impressive, and he's like a Benny Rooster. It's one of those things. It's like you can chastise your children or something behind closed doors, but Andy's a big proponent of the Baltimore Orioles, and he takes it very seriously. But I'm lucky, and there's not a day I don't realize that. And he's got a rich baseball background, and he understands the ups and downs and of this, but he doesn't let us use it as an excuse either. He has expectations, and he and I and we all realize we're accountable for what we're hired to bring.
Buck, thank you as always for your time on MASNsports.com, and we'll check in with you next week.
Okay, thank you.